I had some time to relax, sleep on it, think about it. A couple days is all I needed. Everyone that has a brain would know that the wide majority of the community, they support All Elite Wrestling because of how great they have delivered on great storylines, great matches, great feuds and angles. But obviously, everyone was given a hard dose of reality on Saturday that nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect, and people need to realize that. I can only hope that what happened on Saturday will serve as a lesson towards All Elite Wrestling to improve in the areas that they need to improve in. And I don't mean the areas that I've been talking about for months now, whether it be the women's division or how they produce Dark or who's in the championship title scene, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about all that. Even great things don't last, and even the best fuck up. Everyone has an off night. I don't know what happened on September 5th, but that was undoubtedly an off night. I don't know what happened on September 5th, but All Elite Wrestling definitely fucked up. Now, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it was a terrible show. I'm not saying it was on the level of Super Showdown. I'm not saying it was on the level of WrestleMania and how bad they were. I'm not saying it was on the level of the horror show at Extreme Rules. That was a legitimate horror show. Cliche thing to say, but it was. Cliche thing to say, but it was. The show was decent. All in all, the show was decent. But in no way, shape, or form was it up to par with what we're used to seeing from All Elite Wrestling. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that they, A, put matches on the show that didn't need to be on the show, and B, some of these matches were horribly produced, and I don't know what happened. It seems as though some of the wrestlers just took upon a sense of recklessness for the show. And I'm not even blaming the wrestlers. The way that some of these matches were produced and the way that some of these matches were laid out, that caused some of these wrestlers to fuck up. Some of these spots and some of these high risk angles that were employed into these matches shouldn't have even been into these matches. And I'm pretty sure you all know what I'm talking about. If you watched the pay-per-view, if you were searching on Twitter, if you searched on social media, you would have seen what happened in the Broken Rules match, which I'm going to talk about later on. The show overall was decent, but this should serve as a wake-up call that they really need to fix certain things in terms of their pay-per-views. And I'm talking about not putting unnecessary matches on the show, not going so far as to do all of these crazy high spots just for the sake of excitement. And I understand why. It's because you're trying to generate some excitement because we're in a pandemic and the crowds are only 10-15%, so you don't have that full-on energy that you usually get from the crowd, and you're trying to enhance the matches, with cinematic matches, trying to enhance the feuds, whatever it may be. Certain types of things don't need to happen. Too much of a good thing is not a good thing for anyone. So we're going to talk about the 11 matches I believe there were. I believe there were 11 matches on All Out's pay-per-view. There should have only been 7 or 8. I'll name you the matches that should have been on the show, should have not been on the show. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and there was a lot of ugly on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't know who I am. I am the one and only DJ Storms. Welcome back to the channel here on YouTube.com. It is, of course, Monday, September 7th, 2020. And this is the rewind for AEW All Out 2020, which took place on Saturday, September 5th, 2020. And there were a lot of questionable decisions that were made, a lot of questionable matches that took place, a lot of questionable happenings that took place on September 5th. We're going to go over all of it. We're going to go over what the future may hold for some of the superstars and some of the angles in All Elite Wrestling. We are going to dissect everything. Obviously, we know that All Out 2019, certainly better than All Out 2020. A lot of it had to do with what happened in the Broken Rules match and how all the energy was sucked out of the arena. I'm not even blaming the heat and humidity. Because the heat and humidity took a factor, and that played a factor in the Fight for the Fallen 2019 event, but that was still a great show. I'm not even blaming the heat and humidity. I'm not going to put the blame on the crowd for being hot or being tired, blah, 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 or being drunk. The majority of the blame is on All Elite Wrestling for the recklessness that took place in some of the matches. Not all of them, probably about 2 or 3. We'll talk about it. We're going to dissect everything, starting with the buy-in, but first things first, I want you guys to, of course, follow me on Twitter, at HistoryMakerDJS. Follow me on Instagram and Periscope at the DJ Storms. Add me on Facebook for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. We're trying to get to 100 members. All the links are in the description. The Lightning Flash update from 2 days ago. That's also in the description. I ranted hard. On a lot of shit, including Vince McMahon completely banning third-party partnerships among the talent. And I mean, you can't even use your real name, because Vince McMahon apparently owns the real names of the superstars, which is completely fucking ridiculous in its own right. I ranted on that. I ranted on people thinking that Brock Lesnar is going to go to AEW. I ranted on SmackDown and the illogical shit that we got on SmackDown. I talked about Raw, AEW Dark, Dynamite, NXT. I talked about Mauro Ranallo's departure. I talked about NXT and the terrible ending that we got with that NXT Championship Iron Man match. All that, and so much more in the Lightning Flash update, which was live on Saturday. Link is in the description. You guys are actually doing great there. We actually surpassed 20 likes there, so I got to give each and every single one of you a big round of applause for that one. Thank you very much. Please hit the like button if you haven't already done so. We're going to try and get this video to 20-30 likes. Keep the chat alive. Spark up the conversation. I know there's a lot of people looking to talk about what happened at All Out. Trust me on that. And then, of course, hit the subscribe button and hit the notifications bell. That way you will find out whenever I pop up on YouTube. You will be the first to be notified whenever my videos premiere and or go live on YouTube.com. So let's jump right into the buy-in. The buy-in wasn't bad at all. The buy-in was actually good. If we're going to be quite honest with you, the buy-in actually had some better matches than the main show did, which I can't even believe that I'm saying. So we start off with Serpentico and Joey Janela. So this match went about 8 minutes. Decent match, but didn't need to be on the pay-per-view, especially on the buy-in. No. This was a WWE-like route here. Decent match here with Serpentico and Joey Janela. Serpentico, he's very good. Janela's great. Janela's legit. I'm a huge Joey Janela guy. I sat front row at WrestleMania Never Forgotten over a year ago in 2019, and I saw him face off against Crowbar in a no disqualification match. I know how great Joey Janela is, but did this match need to take place? No. Decent match, but it was certainly not pay-per-view worthy, and it was nothing special. So Janela went right after Serpentico. Serpentico, he took over control, sending Janela into the turnbuckle. Janela came back. until Serpentico cut him off with a rising knee strike over the top rope and a slingshot stomp for a 2. We had a beautiful sequence by Janela where he hit a rolling Death Valley driver, a super kick, and a blue thunder bomb all in one fluid motion for a 2. Moonsault missed. We had a super kick and a kneeling DDT by Serpentico for a 2. Janela with a fisherman superplex for a 2 on Serpentico. Now, this fisherman suplex looked very, very good. The bridge was great by Janela. I'm actually very impressed with how much Janela has evolved. We then had Luther, because Luther came out with Serpentico. They've been teaming on AEW Dark, if you haven't been watching. Luther got involved. He took out Sonny Kiss and Joey. We had a lariat. We had a lariat by Janela turning Serpentico inside out and then a diving elbow drop for the win. Why Sonny Kiss is even on the pay-per-view in any way, shape, or form, I don't know. I can't fucking stand the guy. Matter of fact, the guy's gimmick is absolutely fucking horrendous. Anyone with a brain can figure that one out. He's not a bad wrestler, he's athletic as fuck, but please get him off of television until you fucking fix his character. Way too overbearing the character is. So, Janela gets the win here. I truthfully hope he branches out and does his own thing, and I hope Sonny Kiss does not see the light of day other than AEW Dark. So, Janela wins here. Decent match, but nothing special. Nothing pay-per-view worthy here. Then we had Private Party versus John Silver and Alex Reynolds. This went about 10.5 minutes. This was the second buy-in match. Now, this did not need to be on the show either. But I will say this match was very, very good. This was a very good tag team match. I loved every single minute of this tag team match. Reynolds and Silver, I'm telling you right now, Reynolds and Silver do not get enough appreciation. Reynolds and Silver really do not get enough appreciation. People need to start putting some more respect on John Silver and Alex Reynolds. They're not going anywhere in the Dark Order. I know that. They're not going anywhere in the Dark Order, but they are two great professional wrestlers. They are a very good tag team. Private Party, they're amazing in their own right. So, we had Reynolds and Silver. They isolated Cassidy. Silver with some stiff yes kicks. Obviously, he didn't do the yes like Daniel Bryan did, but some stiff karate-like kicks right to the chest. Quinn eventually got the hot tag. He was cleaning house. Big moonsault. But Reynolds broke up that pinfall. Silver with a stomp while they went for the silly string. So, the silly string move is when Quinn uses his back to sling Cassidy back into a DDT on his opponent. So, Cassidy had the ropes, and he was about to get slung back by Quinn. But John Silver, while Cassidy was on Quinn's back, Silver jumped off the top rope and stomped right on Cassidy's chest and neck region. Looked brutal. So, that was a great spot right there. We then had a V-trigger and a torture rack spin-out slam by Silver. Beautiful spin-out slam by Silver, like a fucking propeller. Round and round went Quinn for a very close near fall. We then had a double team kick and strike combination into a stunner German suplex combo, but Quinn was able to stay alive. Private Party was then able to hit Gin and Juice on Silver for the win, and Private Party gains momentum here. Very, very good tag team match. Very good tag team. This was actually better than the Broken Rules match. Obviously not Sammy and Hardy's fault. This is actually better than the Tooth and Nail match. And we're going to talk about the Tooth and Nail match as well. Because the Tooth and Nail match, I don't know what it was, but 10 minutes. 10 minutes this went, and it was a complete waste of time, was the Tooth and Nail match. But Private Party versus John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Very good tag team match. Silver and Reynolds, great tag team. Private Party, they're excellent. They're going to be in the tag team title hunt by 2021. Who knows? They could very well be tag team champions. You never know. So the main show started off with Britt Baker versus Big Swole in a tooth and nail match. And again, I don't know what the fuck they were going for here, but this was on the same level as the Swamp Fight. This was terrible. This was a generic brawl in a dentist office. This was terrible. I don't know what they were going for here, but this did not do Britt Baker or Big Swole any favors. This was a terrible way to start the show. And Tony Khan, he really needs to learn not to give in to the fucking whiny pussies on social media. Now you can see why it was originally on the buy-in. Fucking idiots you are. You wanted this on the main show? Great, you got it. Are you happy now? This made the show worse. Matter of fact, we're going to go over why it shouldn't have even been a tooth and nail match to begin with. So, Swole rolled up in a limo. She came face to face with Reba, or Rebel, and then she whacked Rebel in the back of the head with a notepad clipboard. Baker was hiding behind a wall. She cracked her diploma over Swole's head. Swole then cracked a pan. Now this was probably one of the best spots of the entire thing. This is probably the only good spot out of the entire brawl. Swole cracked the pan, a operating metal pan over Britt Baker's head. So they brawled into the parking lot. Rebel came in. They brawled on top of the Rolls Royce. We had a DDT by Baker on the Rolls Royce. Rebel ended up getting tossed in the dumpster. Baker hit Swole with a crutch. We had a swinging neckbreaker on the office floor, 482. Swole came back with a punt kick, 482. Swole nearly got drilled. We had a dental root canal drill. I'm not even sure if it was a root canal drill, but it was a fucking drill. And Britt Baker tried to drill in Swole's tooth, but she ended up drilling in the dentist chair. Britt then got stabbed with Novocaine. You know, the needle, the numbing medicine that they use to numb your mouth so they can rip your teeth out. I've had that before. I've had it ran along the inside of my lip, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4 teeth pulled out when I was 12 years old. True story. So she got stabbed in the leg with her own Novocaine, and her leg was numb. So this was probably the most stupid part of the entire thing. Well, the entire thing was stupid, but we had Big Swole throwing the diploma at Rebel, and then she did dirty dancing on the diploma, and she barely even hit Rebel's face. Looked stupid as fuck. And then Swole took the laughing gas, the mask with the laughing gas, put it on Britt Baker, and Big Swole wins the tooth and nail match. 10 minutes of absolutely nothing. They didn't even bother to get creative with it. The most creative thing that they did was use the laughing gas and the Novocaine. Outside of that, I don't know what the fuck they were going for here. This was on the same level as the Swamp fight. This is on the same level as the Swamp fight. This is on the same level as Velveteen Dream versus Adam Cole. This was terrible. This was absolutely terrible. Terrible. See, what you should have done is you should have made this match a regular one-on-one match on the buy-in. You didn't need Janela and Serpentico, even though I love Janela. You didn't need the Dark Order versus Private Party, no matter how great that match was, and it was a great tag team match. You didn't need that. You did not need that. You should have done a normal match with Britt Baker and Big Swole. I'm telling you right now, it would have been a hell of a lot better. It wouldn't have been as good as Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa. I'm not saying it would have been a women's classic, but it would have certainly been better than whatever the fuck we got here. 10 minutes of nothing. I don't care who the fuck you are. This was not fun. This was not funny. This was not entertaining. This was a complete waste of time. You built up this feud all to have that? If that was the case, then you just should have done a regular match on the buy-in, or you could have done a no disqualification match on the buy-in. Either way, this should have been on the buy-in. If you were going to do this as is, it should have been on the buy-in. It should have been on the buy-in regardless, but if you would have done a regular match, I'm telling you, both of these women would have favored a hell of a lot better. Both of these women would have favored a hell of a lot better if you would put it on the buy-in in a regular one-on-one match, because Big Swole, she's very good in the ring. Britt Baker's not there yet, but I'm telling you right now, it would have been a hell of a lot more bearable. It would have been, more likely than not, it probably would have been a decent wrestling match. I'm not saying it would have been great. I'm not saying it would have been something that we would have gone back and rewatched and said, oh my God, did you see Britt Baker and Big Swole from All Out? People are now talking about this in a negative way. That's not good for All Elite Wrestling. If you're talking about something in a negative way, that is going to turn people off. That's going to turn people off, and that's only going to fuel the hatred for AEW even more. This should have been a regular one-on-one match on the buy-in. Should have gone the same length, should have gone 10, 11 minutes, and it should have been a regular one-on-one match with both women competing inside of the ring. I don't know what the goal was here, but this did not do either women any favors. Now, Big Swole won. Big Swole won. I was expecting Britt Baker to win, considering that this was her return match, but what does this mean now that Big Swole won? Well, considering that Big Swole has been on a decent string of momentum, she's been getting wins as of lately, and she is ranked number 2. She is ranked number 2. I can definitely see her getting another win, and I can definitely see her fighting Hikaru Shida for the Women's World Championship sometime between now and Full Gear. What I think they have planned is they're going to give Hikaru Shida a few more title defenses before she inevitably drops the title to Britt Baker. Because Britt Baker, she's currently the best heel in the division right now. And I do believe that it's either going to be at Full Gear or it's going to be at the start of 2021. Hikaru Shida is going to lose that championship to Britt Baker. And we are going to see the build-up towards Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander for the Women's World Championship. But right now, I do believe that Big Swole, probably at the end of the month or the beginning of next month, I believe we could be looking at Big Swole versus Hikaru Shida, and that's going to be Big Swole's best match, because Hikaru Shida, she brings everyone to their fucking best match. She brought Abaddon to a fucking decent match. I mean, think about that, because Abaddon sucks. Now I'm going to be known as the guy that just shits on Abaddon. It's fun to. It's fun to. You should try it. But the match itself was terrible. Definitely brought the show down. Did not start the main show off on the right foot. Big Swole wins. I definitely can see her going forth and getting a women's championship match against Hikaru Shida, which I can't wait for. I think that would be a very, very good match. And that would be a very nice interim opponent for Hikaru Shida. It would be a very nice test for Big Swole as well. So that's what I can see coming out of this. That's the one positive I can see coming out of this. Outside of that, the entire match was a complete waste of time. 10 minutes and nothing. Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. This was fucking excellent. This was an excellent tag team match. And this actually held the title for best match of the night for a good portion of the show. Tag team wrestling, I'm telling you, tag team wrestling. And surprise, surprise, the 2 tag team matches on the show, out of the 4 matches that we saw on the show, the 2 tag team matches were the 2 best matches on the show thus far, up to this point. So, we had Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks. We had quick, fast-paced double team action by both teams. Jungle Boy, he got caught with the locomotion suplexes. They actually botched a suplex over the top rope. Both men kind of got caught in between the ropes. I'm not sure what they were going for here, but outside of that one botch, the entire match was excellent. Minus that one botch, they did recover and they made the crowd forget about it. We had Matt suplexing Jungle Boy over the barricade onto the concrete. We then had Nick isolating Jungle Boy before Luchasaurus eventually got the hot tag. Before he did, he actually got super kicked off the barricade by Nick. Marco then tripped up Nick. Luchasaurus eventually got the hot tag. Heavy chops. We had some super kicks to Luchasaurus, but he would not stay down. He sat up like The Undertaker with his green tongue out saying, hey, like, come on, bring it to me, bring it to me. So he then ducked the kicks from the Young Bucks. He kipped up with a tail whip kick to Nick Jackson, I believe it was, a roundhouse kick to Matt, choke slams, and a moonsault combination for 2. We had a big headbutt to Matt Jackson. Jungle Boy then with a plancha over the top rope, taking out Nick. We had a beautiful moonsault off the apron by Luchasaurus, taking out both men. Luchasaurus is fucking athletic as shit. He's like, what, 6'5", 6'6"? And he's doing all that shit? Jacked as fuck, he's doing all that shit? What is he, like 250, 260 pounds? Guy's fucking impressive. So then we had Jungle Boy. He got powerbombed on the apron, looked brutal. We had a destroyer, a Canadian destroyer on Luchasaurus. And Luchasaurus landed right on his fucking head. Fucking brutal. I'm telling you right now, the destroyer and the reverse Rana. Those two moves, there's no fucking way to make them look safe. If you don't do it right, you're fucking dead. You're dead. So, after the Destroyer, Matt actually super kicked Marco, and Marco was on a crutch. He kicked the crutch out from Marco's hand, and then he actually super kicked Marco, which actually I enjoyed. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So after he super kicked Marco, the Bucks with an assisted draping senton, but Jungle Boy stayed alive. Jungle Boy was made to look like an absolute fucking star here. Jungle Boy was made to look like a star. A beautiful, beautiful senton. Jungle Boy still kicked out. We had the Extinction event, but Nick broke up that pinfall. Luchasaurus, he then threw Nick over the barricade into the crowd full of wrestlers, and then Luchasaurus with a fucking springboard crossbody over the barricade, and he took out the field, but Nick managed to escape. Nick was not taken out. Jungle Boy was left on his own, and Jungle Boy was on the receiving end of a super kick party, but Jungle Boy still stayed alive. Jungle Boy, he looked like a fucking beast in defeat. So after that, then we had the BTE trigger and the Young Bucks win. This was a fucking excellent match. Both teams were made to look excellent, and so was Marco Stunt as well. He played his role very well too. Both teams were made to look excellent. Jurassic Express were made to look excellent in defeat. There are no losers. There were no losers in this match. There were absolutely no losers in this match. Both teams absolutely brought it. This should have been the real opener to All Out. Excellent, excellent tag team match. And the one thing that you need to look at here, is look at the Young Bucks and their facial expressions. Look at the Young Bucks and their mannerisms. Look at the tactics that they were using in that match. I don't know about you, but I think that we could very well be on the verge of a Young Bucks heel turn. And that in itself looks very, 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 very interesting, because you could see that Matt was frustrated. He was using the barricade, throwing him on the concrete. You can sense that they were super kicking Marco. They kept on putting on the pressure on Jungle Boy, just super kicks. She's like, why the fuck won't you stay down? They were showing a lot of heel tactics in this match, and a Young Bucks heel turn, I'm telling you, that could very well be imminent. And that should be very, very interesting as far as the Elite goes. The dissension of the Elite right now is a very, very, very intriguing overall storyline when it comes to AEW. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with the Young Bucks in the future. I don't see them going up against FTR this early. I think they're going to wait until they get crowds back. But what we got here was an excellent tag team match. There are no losers in this match. Young Bucks look great. Jurassic Express look great. And we could be on the verge of a Young Bucks heel turn, which should be very, very interesting going forward. Casino Battle Royal. So we had the first suit being Trent, Christopher Daniels, Jake Hager, The Blade, and Rey Fenix. So they all started off the match. All 5 men went back and forth. We had the next suit coming in, Kazarian, Will Hobbs, Chuck Taylor, Santana, and Ortiz. They went right after the Best Friends. Trent with a, what was it? I believe a tope through the ropes. A tope suicida. He took out Ortiz, I believe it was. They were actually beating on Chuck Taylor before Trent helped them. So the Blade and Daniels, they actually got eliminated. Will Hobbs, he had a good showing in this match. He has a great look. He's intense as they come. Hopefully I get to see him progress as time goes on. The next suit we had Billy Gunn, Pentagon Jr., Ricky Starks, Brian Cage. Then we had Cage eliminate Billy, and then Darby Allin came out directly afterwards. He went right after Starks. Beautiful code red on Ricky Starks. Darby then dumped Phoenix. Ricky Starks got dropped by the Best Friends. Chuck got eliminated. We had the next suit coming in. The final suit before the Joker. It was Shawn Spears. he actually went over to commentary, and he was taking a break, just talking with Taz and Excalibur and JR before he eventually went to fight in the Battle Royal. So obviously he was scouting the competition. So Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, Sonny Kiss, and the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer, came out. And this was actually one of my favorite parts of the Battle Royal. Lance Archer, he came out, he just did a plancha over the top rope, a corkscrew plancha onto everyone, like 4 or 5 people. He just threw himself over the top rope in a corkscrew plancha, and he took out like 4 or 5 guys. Crazy fucking stuff from Lance Archer. So Sonny Kiss then took out Jake Hager. Cage then eliminated Kiss. Thank you, Brian Cage. Spears, he stayed on the outside and he waited. Santana got eliminated. Archer then took out Trent and Ortiz. Obviously Ortiz thinking that he dodged Lance Archer, but he ended up getting eliminated anyway. Matt Sydal was the Joker. Now this I was actually very excited for. He went for Air Sydal, the shooting star press, and he slipped off the top rope. 15 seconds into his AEW career, and he was all over social media in a GIF because of the sweat on the top rope. The sweat on the top rope and the humidity caused the ring ropes to get all moist, and he slipped. I feel bad for the guy. Thank God the guy's okay. He could have killed himself, but thank God he's okay. I feel so bad for the guy, considering that this was his first impression in AEW, and that's how you make it. And it's not even his fault. Obviously, it's hot, it's humid, there's a lot of bodies in the ring, and there's going to be a lot of sweat. So, shit's going to happen. People are going to have an off night, and Matt Sydal had an off night, and that was actually the start of a bad string of luck that took place over the course of the next 20 to 25 minutes. So, Matt Sydal, I feel bad for him. He slipped off the top rope. Kazarian then took out Pentagon. We then had Kaz getting eliminated by Cage. Cage started to take out everyone. Darby then eliminated Starks. And this shit was brutal here. Cage then dropped Darby, and then Starks took out a body bag with thumbtacks in it. He placed thumbtacks in the fucking body bag, and Brian Cage zipped up the body bag with the tacks, with Darby in it, and threw Darby over the top rope onto the stage. He eliminated Darby, and I swear to God, I thought Darby may have died because he hit his head on one of the steps on the ramp. That looked fucking brutal. Absolutely fucking brutal there. Completely unnecessary spot right there. I'm guessing that Darby probably wanted to take that spot because he legitimately doesn't give a fuck. Darby does not give a fuck about his own well-being. He doesn't. But seriously, sometimes Tony Khan should step in. Sometimes the medical persona should step in and say, hey, listen, Darby, I don't think this is such a good idea. You're 23 years old. You know, we need you to be alive for the next 17 to 20 years. So that way we can actually invest in you being a world champion. So that was fucking brutal in its own right. That was fucking brutal. I hope Darby's okay. Completely unnecessary spot right there. So Darby was eliminated. Sydal with a big stomp, and Spears is gone. We had a spine buster by Hobbs on the thumbtacks. Cage and Archer then squared off. This was a great moment here in the match with Cage and Archer squaring off back and forth. Hurricane Rana to Archer, which looked great. The fact that Brian Cage can do that is fucking impressive in its own right. Archer then took out both Hobbs and Cage. Archer and Sydal, they took out the Butcher. Sydal was taken out, and the Butcher and the Blade actually tried to aid Eddie Kingston, who was the final two, with Lance Archer. Jake Roberts then showed Eddie Kingston his bag, which more likely than not, there probably wasn't a snake in it, but they played it up as if there was a snake in the bag. Eddie Kingston obviously is afraid of snakes. Archer then choke slammed Eddie Kingston off the top, onto the Butcher and the Blade, and Lance Archer wins the Casino Battle Royal. Nothing special, nothing overbearing. Certainly was better than the casino ladder match we saw at Double or Nothing, but I don't know what this was. I don't know what the motive behind this was. It almost seems like they booked themselves into a corner here, especially with the main event. Lance Archer was clearly the correct winner. And a lot of people were kind of a little salty, mainly because of the fact that it pretty much gave away the ending of the main event. It made it a little bit too predictable because I don't think anyone thought that they were going to do Lance Archer versus MJF. I don't think they're really going to do that. MJF was the correct man to win it All Out, but now that you have Lance Archer on the show, and you have Lance Archer winning the Casino Battle Royal, it's kind of a giveaway. Now, they could have had Seidel win it, and he challenges for the world title against MJF, but then again, where would Lance Archer go? It was kind of a must-win for Lance Archer. And I guess it goes to show you how much investment that they have in Lance Archer, that his AEW career is only 7 years old, and he was in a TNT title match with Cody, he won the Casino Battle Royal, and now he's fighting Moxley for the World Championship in the future. So I guess you could look at it in a positive light that way. But the match wasn't anything special. The match wasn't anything overbearing. It was better than the Casino ladder match, but that doesn't mean that it was anything groundbreaking. Correct winner. Lance Archer needed it the most, and he won the match. And I'm glad he did. So, then we get to Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in the Broken Rules match. And this was a match that a lot of people were looking forward to. And it ended up turning out to be the scare of the year. Sammy, he came in on a golf cart. Matt Hardy was looking for Sammy in the football field. Sammy came out on a fucking golf cart. And he drove the golf cart towards Hardy, but he missed Hardy. Him and Hardy brawled onto a table in which Hardy DDT'd Sammy on a table. And then we had Hardy and Sammy, and this was completely unnecessary right here. Hardy and Sammy, they brawled onto a mechanical platform. And Sammy and Hardy were sent off the platform, through the tables, onto the concrete. Sammy and Hardy both did not hit the tables fully. Hardy crashed headfirst on the concrete. Sammy crashed side first. So Sammy, he was able to get up. And walk around. Hardy, he was laying there motionless. He was laying there completely motionless, and I swear to God, I thought that Hardy legitimately died. I swear, it brought me back to what happened with Mankind and Undertaker at King of the Ring 1998. I thought we just witnessed the modern day Mankind, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, King of the Ring 1998 moment. That's how scary it was. Remember back then, everyone thought that he was dead. Everyone thought Mankind was dead. Everyone was thinking Matt Hardy was dead right here. So Aubrey Edwards, she's throwing up the X sign, and then you hear the bell ring. And then Sammy Guevara goes into another room, which I assume that's where Tony Khan was. And I'm guessing that room that Sammy was in was obviously the production room, and Tony Khan pretty much told Sammy, okay, this is what we're going to do. And referee Sampson, Doc Sampson, he's checking on Matt Hardy. And Matt Hardy, he got up, but I don't know if he even knew where he was. I'm not even sure if he knew he was at All Out. I'm not even sure he knew what age he was. I'm not even sure he even knew he was still employed by a wrestling company. I didn't even know. He probably thought he crossed over to the other side. This was fucking scary. And I'm not sure who came up with this spot, but that spot was completely unnecessary. The match itself was completely unnecessary. I didn't understand why we needed to have the Broken Rules match at All Out to begin with. That was a last addition to All Out. This match It was this match. It was Serpentico and Janela. It was Dark Order and Private Party. All of these matches were like last minute additions to the pay-per-view. This match in itself did not need to happen on the pay-per-view. The tables match should have been it. Sammy should have won, and that should have been it. We did not need this, and we did not need the stipulation of if Matt Hardy lost, then he left AEW, because if they would have stopped the match right here, then people would have been questioning, oh, what happens now? No one believed that Matt Hardy was leaving. He's not going to go anywhere. But whoever came up with this spot and whoever decided to place this match on the show, they need to learn from this shit. They do not need to be doing these crazy high spots anymore. They do not need to have Matt Hardy, who's over 40 years old, doing this shit. Especially not off of a fucking 25-foot platform onto fucking concrete. Whoever fucking made that call, whether it was Tony, whether it was a doctor, whether it was someone from creative, whoever made that call, fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous. So the referee called for the bell, put the X sign up, and then all of a sudden Matt Hardy was up and walking. And I'm looking at Matt Hardy up and walking. I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is this guy made of? I'm thinking to myself, I'm thoroughly convinced that Matt Hardy is now the Terminator reincarnated. The guy's fucking out of his mind. The fact that he was able to get up and walk was a miracle in its own right. And not only that, he's climbing a fucking scaffold. The guy's climbing a fucking scaffold. I understand that he loves the business, and I understand that he wants to make sure the match gets finished. I understand that, and I understand that he has a lot of passion, but at some point, you need to step in. You need to step in and say, listen, you can't go. I don't care if you want to go. I don't care how much passion you have. This is a life or death situation. Now, if they didn't do the stipulation where if Matt Hardy lost, he would leave, I'm telling you right now, they probably would have stopped him. They probably would have stopped the match right there. So, I did hear that Tony Khan did confirm that Matt Hardy is okay. He was okay. He was concussed. Obviously. They have him fucking concussed, climbing a fucking scaffold. So they brawled onto the scaffold, and Matt Hardy punched Sammy off the scaffold to the wooden stage, and Matt Hardy wins. Clearly, it was cut short. Clearly, this match was cut short. Clearly, this match was shaved down simply because of the fact that Matt Hardy was concussed and he could not go any further, so they went straight to the ending. You can imagine that Sammy, when he went into that room, he was told what to do. He was told what to do, and they went straight to the ending, and that was it. That was it. And this entire spot took the entire life of the crowd, all the energy of the crowd completely out of the rest of the show. I am not even blaming the heat and humidity. Whoever produced this match and whoever called this match should absolutely have canceled it right then and there. When the plans were shown to Tony Khan, he should have nixed them and said, fuck no. I don't know who made this call. The match should not have been on the show. The spot shouldn't have been on the show. You should have ended the match. You should have ended the feud after the tables match. You should have ended the feud after the tables match, and that should have been it. I hope Matt is okay. I hope Matt Hardy does not have any more serious injuries other than a concussion. I hope Sammy's okay as well. This match should not have been on the show. If you would have cut this match from the show, then the show would have flowed a little bit nicer. If you would have cut Janela and Serpentico from the show, if you would have cut the Dark Order and Private Party from the show, and if you would have put Britt Baker versus Big Swole on the buy-in in a regular match, the show would have worked out a hell of a lot better. You wouldn't have had this scare. And things would have worked out a hell of a lot better in the grand scheme of things for the company. And the company would not be looked at as negligent for letting Hardy continue a fucking match and climbing a fucking scaffold with a concussion. Everyone thought it was probably worse than a concussion, but this guy's fucking walking around. It was fucking scary. It was scary. I don't want to ever see something like that again. I don't. They need to scale back. I understand that you want to generate excitement, and I understand that you want to keep people intrigued, but you need to scale back as far as the high spots and diving off scaffolds and platforms. You need to scale back as far as that goes. You need to scale back as far as that goes because stuff like that is detrimental to a superstar's health and well-being if done wrong. And especially after what happened here, I think it's a clear-cut indication that shit like that needs to stop. Keep it to a minimum. We don't need to see Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega in that type of matchup. I feel as though ever since that matchup, AEW is trying to sporadically put down moments like that. You take a look at Revolution. Revolution was the best pay-per-view of the year for AEW thus far, and we did not see any of this. We didn't see any high spots. We didn't see any jumping off platforms. We didn't see any jumping off scaffolds. We didn't see any table spots from 25 feet up. We didn't see any of that. We did not see any of that. We saw just straight up wrestling with the right outcomes. Simple as that. Hardy and Guevara should not have taken place. Didn't need to be on the show. Should have ended after the tables match, and that should have been it. Matt Hardy, at his age, should not be doing shit like this anymore. And I hope Tony Khan learns from this. I really hope he does. And a lot of people are saying the same exact thing. If there's one thing that a lot of people are in agreement on in this fucked up, stupid ass community, is the fact that this was unnecessary. This was completely unnecessary, and this brought down the show a lot. The first hour outside of Lance Archer winning and the Bucks versus Jurassic Express was a complete fucking bust. The buy-in pre-show, Private Party and the Dark Order, that's what we need to see. Those are the types of matches that we need to see, not this. Focus on wrestling, not death matches. So after that, then we had Hikaru Shida versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's World Championship. This was great. This was a great Women's Championship match. And this goes to show you that the women of AEW, they always shine on the big stages when they are given the opportunity. Hikaru Shida has an excellent Women's Championship match here with Thunder Rosa. And it sucks that what happened with Matt Hardy really kind of took away from this. It really sucks that what happened with Matt Hardy kind of took away from this, and they were subjected to silence for a good portion of the match. But regardless, it was still a great Women's Championship match. This was probably... This was actually better than half of the show. And I expected it to be. Thunder Rosa and Shida... A lot of people even said that this was better than the Mimosa Mayhem match with Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy. And to be quite honest, I actually have to agree with that. This was actually better than the Mimosa Mayhem match with Jericho and Cassidy. So, Rosa, she actually got a lot of fucking offense in this. You take a look at this match, you watch this match back, Rosa was on the offense for a good portion of this matchup. They made Thunder Rosa look great. Thunder Rosa, I really hope she gets signed. So, we had a big high knee and neck breaker by Rosa. Rosa was actually smart enough to use the chair that Hikaru Shida sets up. Hikaru Shida usually sets up a chair and she uses the chair as a launching pad, but Thunder Rosa turned the tables on her and she used the chair as a launching pad on Hikaru Shida, did Thunder Rosa. So, Thunder Rosa, with a running kick right to the back of the head of Shida, looked fucking brutal. The kick, the sole of the boot, right to the back of the head, looked brutal there. Absolutely brutal. So, we had Thunder Rosa with a pendulum surfboard stretch, and then she used the surfboard stretch and she banged Shida's head into the bottom of the turnbuckle, swinging her back and forth, head first into the turnbuckle. That was great. Thunder Rosa and the cockiness and charisma that she oozed during this match was great. The presentation of Thunder Rosa has been fantastic in AEW. So then we had We then had Shida. She came back with a huge knee. Rosa with a low drop kick, though, sending Shida to the outside on the ramp. Rosa with a Death Valley driver attempt, but Shida took Rosa up to the top. Rosa ended up hitting a Death Valley driver on the apron. Looked brutal. That got a close 2 count on Shida. Shida then with a superplex and a Meteora out to the stage. Sasha Banks style Meteora off the middle rope out on the stage. The wooden or steel stage that they had on the ring. It was connected to the ring, obviously. So after that we had Shida locking in a stretch muffler, but Rosa was able to get to the ropes. Shida with the backbreaker for a 2, and then she eventually hit the running Shining Wizard for the win. Thunder Rosa doing what she was supposed to do. She was not winning the Women's World Championship of All Elite Wrestling. She was there to enhance the women's division, and she was there to give Shida a great match, and that's exactly what she did. And because of this, I actually do believe that we could very well see an NWA AEW partnership, because the NWA, they're just starting to get their tapings back. Nick Aldis and Thunder Rosa, they're flying out to California in the middle of the month to do some tapings. So I do believe that this could very well result in a partnership with All Elite Wrestling and NWA. It's either that or Thunder Rosa. I really do hope Tony Khan throws some cash at Thunder Rosa and they do sign Thunder Rosa, because Thunder Rosa, she's a great addition to the AEW Women's Division. She would be a great hand, a great asset. She could help the women in the AEW Women's Division. This would be a great move for AEW if they were to either get Thunder Rosa or, better, gain a partnership with NWA. Especially since NWA, they haven't really got any. They don't have a television deal. They don't have a television deal just yet, but maybe they might get one in California. You never know. Maybe they might get one in California, but ultimately, by the end of this was a great women's championship match. Thunder Rosa's great. Thunder Rosa was not winning the championship. She was there to give Hikaru Shida a great match. She was there to enhance the women's division and to enhance Hikaru Shida's reign. That's exactly what happened. Both women brought it. Both women gave you perhaps the second or third best match of the night. And that's saying something. Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa, they brought it. They brought it in this one. So then we had Kip Sabian. He announced that him and Ford, they're getting married on Dynamite. Yeah. They're getting married on Dynamite. After the wedding that we saw with Lana and Bobby Lashley, I'm surprised that Dynamite is going this route. And I don't know why they're going this route. This is some WWE-esque bullshit. This is really some WWE-esque bullshit right here. But the best part of this entire thing, and I'm not even talking about the planned wedding, I'm talking about what happened with this entire little 2-minute vignette. So he said that he's going to announce the best man this Wednesday. And he said that it's not just going to be a best man, it's going to be the best man. And then he plugged his Twitch channel. And at the bottom of the screen it said, "This message is approved and encouraged by All Elite Wrestling," I believe. That was the best thing about this entire little 2-minute vignette. I could do without the wedding. The wedding is going to absolutely fucking suck. These wrestling weddings on television, that's another thing that should be absolutely fucking abolished from professional wrestling in the modern era as a whole. And if you think that this wrestling is going to be in any way, shape, or form entertaining, you're a fucking idiot. Absolute fucking idiot you people are. But the little cheap jab at the WWE by AEW, by plugging Kip Sabian's Twitch channel and saying this message is approved for by All Elite Wrestling. I love that. I was laughing my ass off right there. I left. Why? Because WWE and their ridiculous rules. Now, no one can use their real names. Now Vince McMahon owns the real names of the talent, really. Aren't you independent contractors? So you can't live your life. It's not even about, I'm not even talking about making money. So you can't live your life and do what you want to do in terms of having fun on a TikTok or a YouTube or a Twitch or Cameo. You can't have fun with your fans. You can't go out there and live your life. Everything's fucking closed or having limited capacity. What are they supposed to do? Sit at home and twiddle their thumbs? It's ridiculous. I ranted on that on the LFU. Check it out in the description. But the wedding, this wedding with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, fucking terrible. Kip Sabian should be positioned for a TNT Championship title match. I don't know why the fuck they're doing this, but I can only hope that they have something decent planned, but I really don't have any faith considering that we know the track record of these weddings in professional wrestling. Some people were saying that Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss are going to crash the wedding. I hope not. I hope the wedding gets canceled, actually. So then we had the Dark Order versus the Natural Nightmares, Scorpio Sky and Matt Cardona. Now, this is a very fun 8-man tag team match, but if we're going to be quite honest with you, this didn't really need to be on the show either. This match, the Broken Rules match, the 2 buy-in pre-show matches, they didn't need to be on the show. They didn't need to be on the show at all. And I am actually still trying to wrap my head around the fact of why they had some of these matches on the show. If you would have cut those 4 matches from the show would have been a hell of a lot better in terms of length. But the match was fun. The match wasn't bad whatsoever. It was very, very good. We had a big brawl to start off the match. We had fast-paced action, fast-forward. We had QT being isolated. He was on the receiving end of a lot of offense from the Dark Order. Cardona, he got the hot tag, picked up the pace. We had the reboot, but Brody broke up the pin by putting Colt's foot on the rope. We had Cardona getting shut down by Brody. Colt then isolated Cardona. Brody came in, took a cheap shot at Dustin. We had a roundhouse kick brainbuster combo by Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, which looked great. I love Evil Uno and Stu Grayson as a tag team. So we then had a tag to Dustin. Dustin Rhodes came in, and the fact that Dustin Rhodes is still moving the way that he's moving is great. Big power slam to Evil Uno and Grayson. Big destroyer on Cabana. The fact that Dustin Rhodes can still do destroyers at his age is fucking insane. We then had Anna Jay coming in, but Brandy ended up taking her out. Sky, he was on a roll. He had a TKO on Stu Grayson, but Uno broke that one up. We had a tag to Cardona, radio silence on Grayson and Evil Uno. We then had a Tope Con Hero taking out Colt and Grayson. QT tagged in. He did a tope of his own, taking out 3 members of the Dark Order. We had an assisted powerbomb, sidewalk slam, and big splash combo by all 4 members of the Dark Order, but QT stayed alive. Beautiful sequence right there. QT stayed alive. Brody then allowed Dustin to tag in, and the 2 big men, they squared off. Cabana then missed the moonsault after Brody Lee hit the discus lariat on Dustin, saying he pretty much gave the win to Colt Cabana, but he went for the moonsault anyway, did Cabana. Cabana missed the moonsault, and then we had a roll-up by Dustin for the win. Brody was yelling at Colt, "I gave it to you. I set you up. I gave it to you." And he was pissed. He was pissed. And then afterwards, Uno actually helped Colt up. And it was revealed that on Wednesday, we will see Dustin Rhodes versus Brody Lee for the TNT title. That was booked for Wednesday. Dustin Rhodes, he cut a promo. He was very hyped. He was very excited. This should be a great match between Dustin and Brody Lee on Wednesday Night Dynamite. So the match itself was very good. The match itself was fun, but it didn't really need to be on the show. Same thing with the Broken Rules match and the 2 pre-show matches, as I said. It would have made the show a hell of a lot better, and the show would have flowed a lot better if you know what I mean. So the match, again, was good. And it seems as though the Dark Order, they are not gaining a new member in Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana, he said that he's just hanging around with the Dark Order, but apparently now, Colt Cabana could be on the receiving end of an attack from the Dark Order in the future. We could get Colt Cabana versus Brody Lee, potentially for the TNT Championship. We'll see how that one plays out. I don't really know when Cody's coming back, but I would assume that he's going to come back. He's going to get his vengeance on Brody Lee and fight him for the TNT title. He's not going to win the title back, but Brody Lee will certainly be enhanced by another matchup with Cody Rhodes. And that was pretty much that. We move on to FTR versus Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Now, this one, a lot of people said that it may have been too long. A lot of people said that it may have been too long, but this was a great match. I don't think it was too long. I just think that mainly because of the incident with Hardy and the incident with the fact that there was 11 matches on the show during an era like this, that really kind of made the match a little bit boring in the beginning. It wasn't too long. They just put it on at a time where everyone was pretty much coming down to their tired level, if you know what I mean, their lowest point. Especially after what happened earlier on in the show. Earlier on in the show, the show was just kind of thrown off. It was just off. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, I do know what it was. It was the Hardy incident and the Darby incident, but ever since then, the show was just off. And I feel as though they tried too hard to make this match as good as what happened with the Bucks and Hangman and Kenny, which it wasn't. And if you're trying to tell me that this match was better than Young Bucks versus Hangman and Kenny, that was the fucking match of the year. So please don't be one of these people that are going to say, oh, well, you know, the realism is there with FTR and, you know, the ground-based attack, 40 million Canadian destroyed. Don't be one of these fucking morons. Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page, that was the match of the year, or one of the matches of the year. This was an excellent match, but in no way, shape, or form was it the Bucks versus Page and Omega. Please. Thank you. Don't be one of these idiots. But this in itself was a great World Tag Team Championship match. This was definitely one of the best matches of the night. This could have easily main evented if they wanted it to, but I understand why it didn't. We had Omega in control, big tope con hero by Omega. Omega then got the tag on Hangman. We had some swift double team moves, assisted German suplex, powerbomb, and a V-trigger knee. But Cash Wheeler, I believe he was pinned. He stayed alive. We had a superplex splash combo by FTR for a close 2 count. Brainbuster on Omega. Swinging DDT on Page. Snap reverse Rana and a Tiger Driver 98 on Cash. But Cash still kicked out. We had a V-trigger to Cash. FTR then targeted Kenny's knee. Inverted figure 4 leg lock was locked in, but Omega got to the ropes. We then had Snapdragon suplexes for both Dax and Cash. Harwood was then sent into Page by Omega. So that was some accidental content right there. So we thought that Page was going to get a little pissed at Omega, but that didn't happen. So then we had Harwood and Cash with a Steiner Brothers Bulldog to Omega on the floor. Page then was able to hit a super moonsault fallaway slam for a very, very close 2 count. Beautiful move by Page. Omega then came in. They were setting up for the last call, and Omega accidentally V-triggered Page. Page was out. We then had a chop block to Omega. Omega was taken out. We had a spike pile driver on Page, but Page still kicked out. Omega was isolated. They hit a second spike pile driver, and that's it. FTR wins. FTR is, or they are, your new AEW World Tag Team Champions. FTR, best tag team in the world right now. Best tag team in the world right now. With the tutelage of Tully Blanchard, things are looking big for FTR come 2021. Things are looking big. Things are looking big. FTR wins. Great match. May have been too long in some people's eyes, but that's only because of the fact that they had too many matches on the show to begin with. After the match, this was great right here. After the match, Kenny Omega took the ringside table after Cash and Dax dropped some beers by Hangman. Hangman couldn't stand up. Kenny took one of the ringside tables and he was holding it near his head. He looked like he was going to hit Paige, but he threw it away. Paige then went over to Omega, but he collapsed, and Omega did not catch him. Omega walked away. Paige was in the ring, collapsed in the middle of the ring, just laying there, and Omega, he walked right past the Young Bucks and he said, I'm done with that. I'm done with this. And the Young Bucks were trying to talk with him, but he ended up leaving in a private car. He pretty much laid down an ultimatum to the Young Bucks, like, I'm done with this. Like, where do you stand here? So I don't know what's going on here, but it looks like Omega could very well be leaving the Elite as well. Looks like the Elite is pretty much done. Looks like being the Elite is going to be no more, perhaps. I don't know what's going on. But the Young Bucks have been showing heel tactics. Omega's been showing heel tactics. Could we get Omega and the Bucks having an argument and having a full-blown dissension? Is Paige going to be reinvited back into the Elite? Are we going to see reconciliation between the Bucks and Paige, considering that Paige was not on FTR's side and Adam Hangman Page was the one that took the pin? Adam Hangman Page was the one that took the pin, not Omega. It was Paige. I don't know. It's a tough call. It really is a tough call. I do not know what is going to happen as far as the Elite goes, but it's definitely something to keep our eyes on. It's definitely something to keep our eyes on. I'm very, very, very interested in seeing how the dissension of the Elite plays out. Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy, Mimosa Mayhem match. This was fun. I would say this was fun, but this really wasn't anything that we haven't seen between Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy. If I'm going to be quite honest, their first match was their best match. Their first match was definitely their best match. This was pretty much a gimmick match created by Chris Jericho to get people talking, and that's exactly what it did. And the motive was to get Orange Cassidy over. And that's exactly what Chris Jericho did. Chris Jericho was able to get Orange Cassidy over here. We had a code breaker right out of the gate for a 2 count. Orange Cassidy then jumped off the platform onto Jericho. We had a power bomb through an ice table by Jericho. Super kick by Cassidy. We had a Michinoku drive for a 2. Walls of Jericho was locked in. Cassidy then filled a glass of mimosa up, and then he threw it right in Jericho's face. I'm guessing, a lot of people were saying that it wasn't really mimosa. I'm not sure if it's a health hazard or whatever, but there was 2 big pools of mimosa on either side. So then Chris Jericho, he was then tossed over the rope, but only his foot hit the mimosa. So the match continued. Hurricane Rana on Jericho, big PK, and a satellite DDT. PK didn't even look like it connected, but the satellite DDT, that connected. That was another close 2 count right there. Codebreaker from the top for another close 2 count. Jericho was then on top. He was looking for a razor's edge into the mimosa, but Orange Cassidy then hit 2 orange Superman punches, and Jericho falls into the mimosa, and that was it. The feud is over. Orange Cassidy wins in convincing fashion, and Orange Cassidy defeats Chris Jericho not once, but twice. Right outcome. I'm guessing that Chris Jericho is probably going on tour with Fozzy, and we could very well see Orange Cassidy be challenging for a championship. Maybe he challenges for the TNT championship. Maybe he challenges for the TNT championship. I didn't think that they were going to do Orange Cassidy versus MJF, considering that MJF was not going to win because Lance Archer won the Battle Royal. So it looks like they could very well do Orange Cassidy versus Brody Lee. Now that would be an interesting match in its own right. That would be a very interesting match. Orange Cassidy faces off against Brody Lee for the TNT championship. He's not going to win. But it would certainly be an innovative match. So that was that. Nothing too special there. But Orange Cassidy gets the win. And then in the main event, we had Jon Moxley versus MJF for the AEW World Championship. The match itself, very, very good. The match itself was very good. Jon Moxley and MJF, they work very, very well together. If this had a full crowd, it would have been a hell of a lot better. Very, 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 very good stuff here from Moxley and MJF. The only thing that I'm questioning was the ending, considering that MJF was pretty much built up to be the guy to take the title off of Moxley. But then, of course, we got the Casino Battle Royal and in came Archer. Now, I don't really know where they could go. I have a theory of where they could go, and this is what would make the most sense, and this could be the route that they go. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So, we had MJF on the receiving end of a suicide dive. MJF then targeted the left arm of Moxley. He wrenched on the shoulder of Moxley, did a shoulder breaker to Moxley right on the apron, which looked brutal. We then had MJF. He was sent by Moxley headfirst into the post. MJF, he was busted open. His face was crimson red. So Moxley got back at MJF for busting him open on Dynamite. MJF with a stomp right to the left arm after he kicked out of a Gotch-style pile driver. Moxley came back with a big German suplex and a clothesline for a 2. MJF was kneeling, and he spat right in the face of Moxley, which looked great. Moxley, he looked like he was going for the paradigm shift, but he couldn't do that. Because if he did that, MJF would have won, and Moxley would have lost the championship. The ref was saying, no, don't do it. And Moxley's holding his arms. He's like, fuck, I want to do this so badly. So that was a nice story there. That was a nice story told there. MJF then locked in the salt of the earth. Moxley, he got to the ropes, but MJF ended up hitting the Heat Seeker, the leg trap pile driver, the leg trap DDT off the ropes. Heat Seeker connected, but Moxley kicked out. Moxley then hit the air raid crash for another close 2 count. Both men then traded strikes back and forth. Moxley then locked in a sleeper. MJF had the ref tied up looking at him, and MJF with a mule kick. Low blow. He rolled up Moxley, 1, 2, and Moxley kicked out. Then we had a crossroads connecting on Moxley. We have a new champion, said Tony Schiavone. No, we don't. Moxley kicked out. So at this point, MJF motions for Wardlow. Wardlow's got the ref distracted. MJF is tossed to the Dynamite Diamond Ring, but he misses it. And Moxley catches him. The ref is tied up with Wardlow. Moxley hits the paradigm shift behind the referee's back. 1, 2, 3, and Moxley retains the championship. Very, very good match here in the main event between Moxley and MJF. And afterwards, we had Lance Archer scouting Jon Moxley after he successfully retained the World Championship at All Out. So we are getting Lance Archer and Moxley in the near future, and that was the end. So the match was very good, but I can't help but feel as though AEW kind of booked themselves into a corner here, because Lance Archer needed the win, and he was going to go face off against Moxley. He could very well take the title off of Moxley now. But MJF was so great in his heel role that he was pretty much destined to be a world champion. Now, MJF's going to be fine. MJF's going to be fine. I called MJF to win this, but that was before we had Lance Archer in this fucking Casino Battle Royal. So, based on the ending, I have a feeling MJF is going to weasel his way back into this. But the only thing that I'm concerned about is Wardlow. Throughout the entire summer, Wardlow has cost MJF major matches. He's cost MJF every big match that MJF has been in. He cost him the Battle Royal to determine the number one contender for the TNT Championship when Cody was still champion. That was won by Jungle Boy. He was in the tag team match with Jurassic Express at Fyter Fest, and Wardlow lost that match for MJF, and now he costs MJF the World Championship here at All Out. So, I don't know what they're doing there, but I hope to God they don't break up Wardlow and MJF, because that would be a terrible, terrible decision, because MJF and Wardlow, they're great together, especially after that tag team matchup at Fyter Fest. So much so that I actually want to see them as tag team champions. Wardlow is not going anywhere as a singles guy. Not now. There's too many people ahead of him. There's way too many people ahead of Wardlow. You're not going to push Wardlow into a championship match now. So, I don't understand what the motive of disbanding him and MJF would be. If anything, MJF and Wardlow should stick together until 2022, after they become tag team champions, and then you could use the tag team titles to further their breakup. That's what you should do. I don't know what they're doing, but I do hope they do not break up Wardlow and MJF. Now, as far as MJF and the world title scene goes, here's what I feel as though is going to happen. Moxley is not making it to 2021 with that championship. I'd be shocked if he does. Moxley is not making it to 2021 with the AEW World Championship. He's not. He's not. I really don't think that they're going to wait 2 months to have the match between Moxley and Archer, at Full Gear. They're not. They're not. What's going to happen is I feel as though they're going to build up the match between Archer and Moxley either at the end of the month or the beginning of next month. They're going to have the match in the main event of Dynamite, and we are going to see MJF get involved. And MJF is going to look to hit Moxley with the championship, but he's going to miss, and he's going to hit Archer. Mox is going to take advantage, and Mox is going to retain the championship. Now, we're going to see a scenario where Moxley now has to defend in a triple threat match, because Archer was cheated, and MJF was cheated because of the simple fact that Moxley used the paradigm shift behind the referee's back, but the ref didn't see. And at Full Gear, we're going to get a triple threat match, and that's when I feel as though Moxley's going to lose it, whether it be to Archer or MJF. And if I'm going with one, I'd go with MJF. I really go with MJF, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. I don't know if that's the route they're going to go. It's a possibility. We'll have to see how it plays out, but I really do not see any reason why Moxley should be going into 2021 with the World Championship. I feel as though we're not going to see the last of MJF in the world title scene. You didn't build him up for over a year just to have him lose to Moxley in one match, and that's it. Especially after that open-ended main event. Moxley and Archer, it's going to take place on Dynamite. We're going to see MJF try to cost Moxley. He's going to cost Archer, and boom. Boom. Just like that. Just like that, we are going to see a triple threat match. That was All Out. Decent show. Obviously, you guys know how I feel about the negatives, the low points of All Out. But regardless, that's been the Rewind for All Out. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. I'm the one and only DJ Storms. I will see you hopefully on Saturday for the LFU, I will keep you guys updated on my college schedule if I'm able to do more LFUs, considering we have a lot, or I have a lot to do for my college semester. But anyway, you guys have a great night. You enjoy Raw tonight, although I don't know how you can enjoy Raw, especially with how bad it's been. But regardless, I'll see you guys for Raw tonight.